Hello and welcome to Wake and Jake. We'll do some prospective trades today. MLB season. I'm hoping we're going to see a lot soon. A lot of the big names that were rumored still really haven't gone. Clase now trade early on, a couple others. We've got some trades and trade candidates, and we'll mock up what we like and we don't like. And I think we're going to give you a little football at the end of the day. I think with Justin Penik. If not, eat a bug. All right. Happy birthday to my sister, January 17th. Happy birthday, Renee. He has a sister? Yeah, nice. I tweeted out last night out of boredom on my couch. Jess was at a networking event, some like women's empowerment thing. Happy for her. I'm on the couch. Didn't really want to watch college basketball. No football. It's kind of craving baseball. So I took it to the Twitter streets and I said, let me hear your trade offer for your team. Remember the your team part, because I just laughed at something done before. And I said, if you put a fair one together that makes sense, I'll say, wow, nice. I was going to give him like a shirt at the store or something, but that just felt like 2 steps.
Yeah, this has become something you actually have to do.
It felt like 2 steps I didn't see myself taking from the couch at 8:29 p.m. yesterday. Because am I going to watch a movie for 2 hours and focus? I didn't want to do that. But too many came in. 216 comments. Oh, and never mind. They posted on Instagram and people went nuts there.
Oh.
I didn't even dig around there. But we've got more feedback.
I'll give it a quick scroll. There's no shot. Instagram's a fun scroll.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember, I looked at those briefly, and it wasn't too sexy. Too sexy. Let's try to build this up because there are some big names and people that we think will be traded. Let me start it out with the closers. There's 2 closers that have been on a lot of people's tongues for a little bit now. Emmanuel Clase and David Bednar, the closer for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Clase for the Guardians. You probably know that if you're listening to that. If not, welcome. Let's figure it all out together. Bednar has been rumored to be traded. He's a true yinzer. He's like from Pittsburgh. He's kind of the perfect closer for them. He's also fun. He's meaty, but his pitch mix is fun. He's got a good fastball. He'll drop a big curveball on you. 3-pitch guy, and he's really good. And so I think what it was building up to was kind of Pittsburgh being like, hey, if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it always feels like the new team has an up-and-coming closer, Romano Toronto, that kind of rhyme.
Whoa.
Didn't know that. How bizarre is that? Romano Toronto? Okay, he's from Canada. Felix Bautista for Baltimore, not from Baltimore, but he came out to the wire. He's this big freak show of a closer. Like, yeah, kind of when there's a new team, you almost want to know who their new closer is. Usually there's a build-up for that.
Sneaky, like a big part of an
it just
identity
feels like
for a team.
I mean, every winning game essentially is supposed to end with that guy. So it's someone you want to feel heartstrings to. It's someone you want to like. Emmanuel Clase has been rumored because the Guardians kind of run their franchise as just a little bit of a joke. He's on a team-friendly extension. He's like arguably the best closer in baseball. He's kind of, people say it in that voice when they say it. Like he's almost not sexy because he throws a cutter, but also the best closer all time. Pretty much threw a cutter. And then Bednar, kind of what I was saying with the Pirates, it felt like they were supposed to be entering a window, and it doesn't really feel that way. That I was kind of on team keep Bednar. You found a guy from Pittsburgh. You're building towards something here. To now, it's kind of if you can get true assets for a closer, and this is the catch-22 because you can find relief pitching. You can. It's in your minor leagues. There's guys that get hot and they throw 98 for 2 years, and you can find it. So if you can cash in on a reliever for an everyday ball player, I think you do it. And that's where I wanted to start. I'll start with Bednar because this one jumped out to me. Because everyone I've seen, you'll have to understand there's a lot of Yankee fans in my reply. And I love you. A lot of the Yankees trades that got involved They're offering the Pirates really pure prospects, which, again, a certain level prospect for a reliever. Obviously, everything has its price. I think if the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to trade Bednar, who's been popular there, he's got a few years left on his contract, you almost need a guy that you look at and you're going to say he's going to be an everyday player, and you almost know what you're going to get. The one that jumped out to me, and we've talked a lot about this team's closer situation, how about your defending champs, the Texas Rangers? Someone that they've reportedly had on the trade block is Zeke Duran. So Cowboy U at Bunt Double on Twitter, shout out. They did Zeke Duran, Justin Foscue, Dustin Harris, Cole Winn for David Bednar. One like, one retweet. In my head, I think essentially Zeke for Bednar would get it done. Zeke Duran last year, let me get some stats up. And I can actually tie both these together, which good on me. Zeke Duran last year, 14 home runs. He had in 406 at bats, 276, a 768 OPS, a 106 OPS plus. But more importantly than that, he was 24 and he played shortstop, third base, second base, right field, left field, and first base. So Zeke Duran, if you're a team like Pittsburgh, you've got holes to fill. And this guy, depending how your other players develop, he could fit in a lot of different positions if he can hit enough, which last year, in essentially his rookie season, he hit above league average. So if you project him, even if he's that hitter that he was last year, with more games, you're looking at a 20-homer guy, a few steals, plays different positions. You can pencil that guy in your lineup for the next 4 years in some sort.
Yeah. If he's ultimately the final year numbers tick above league average and I don't know how well he grades at every position. I'll look into it. Right. Can play everywhere, can stand everywhere.
Well,
that's value.
Again, if I was slightly better at this, I guess I wouldn't reveal it to you and I would play it cool. But tying this together, the other trade that I saw that I liked, and almost all of these pieces can be swapped, it was Christopher Morel, who's been rumored in trade talks. It was him for Clase. But all four of those pieces are somewhat interchangeable. I guess if you're the Pirates, you really wouldn't love to trade Bednar in division to Chicago. I get that. To see a guy you traded close you out 4 games a year. Maybe that's even dramatic. Who cares? If you get a guy that plays every day for your team, I think you figure that out. I guess it was my first head tilt when I tweeted this out. We've talked a lot about the closer trades on Talking Baseball and Talking Yankees. We've kind of dreamt up our own rumors. But the packages that people are throwing out there are prospects. It's Chase Hampton. It's Arraez. I don't. These names might not help you if you're a sports fan. Even if you're a Yankee fan, these guys, I don't know. They're new prospects, which always makes you a little nervous. I think if we see one of those closers go, and whether you're Pittsburgh or the Guardians, we know the Guardians would want MLB-ready talent. And Christopher Morel would probably be the second best power threat on their team. Christopher Morel last year, also 24 years old, he had 26 yabos, a 116 OPS plus, an 821 OPS. Doesn't walk a lot, but he hits. And where did he play last year? He played shortstop, third base, second base, and the whole outfield. So again, part of the reason these guys are on the trading block is they're looking for a position. Versatility can be 2 different things. Although, seeing Duran play, I don't know, when he played shortstop and left field, you were like, oh, that's an athletic guy that I think can play defense.
Like he's a natural shortstop. I looked into his position by position, and I think every individual position is too small a sample size to do a lot with, but positive at shortstop and weirdly negative at every other position.
Which usually you'd expect the opposite. But I think the question with either of these guys is, are they third basemen? Because that's usually the shortstop progression. I don't think you want either of these guys as your everyday shortstop. So then you're looking at third base or second base. You'd probably do it. Morel listed. What do you think Chris Morel's listed at? Yeah.
In my head, he's a shorty. I would guess that means he got given $5.10
So the height wasn't the tricky part on this one.
Okay.
Christopher Morel listed 5'11".
Okay.
Maybe a little shorter. I don't know. Haven't measured him.
No such thing.
Weight listed 145. That's skinny.
Feels like I've seen
Chris Morel. I don't think I've got him at $145. Anyways, Christopher Morel, as a 24-year-old, played a ton of positions, hit 26 home runs last year. If he's on the trade block and one of these teams was deciding that they wanted the lockdown closer for 3 years, Clase, Bednar, I think you would punch it for a player like that. And hey, other teams listening, I guess Pittsburgh and Cleveland, you let me know if that's way off base. But I think an everyday player that can contribute at a lot of different positions. The Guardians lineup really needed help and pop last year. On Pittsburgh, they still need some help. And I don't think Bednar's the difference right now. So for those two players, there was a lot of trades because every team can add to bullpen, and those guys, in theory, are hitting trade windows. Even though Clase shouldn't be. Guardians should be good. Just use him. But if they can cash in and get more future chips, that's kind of how it goes. So that was the reliever ones that turned head for me. If your team is hunting them out, I guess comment below and let me know if there's players, prospects that you think would be a fit. Another popular player, Baby Jesus Luzardo. Does he go by Jesus or Jesus? Do we know? Because Jesus Sanchez is the outfielder on that team.
I don't actually know with him.
Luzardo, who's come up in trade rumors, him and Edward Cabrera? Edward Cabrera? I'm just slaughtering names. Sorry, fellas. Jake Stromboli. The Marlins have been rumored to make some trades. You might hear some Luis Arraez coming up. For them, it's always, we have pitching and we need some more hitting. Luzardo, I think they got him for the rental of Starling Marte. The A's kind of gave up on him. They tap back in. He's been a really good left-handed starting pitcher who's got years left that they could really cash in on. I'll be honest, Yankee fans had been pushing Luzardo rumors. I know Big Jim got excited, which usually I think his initial reaction would be to poo-poo a pitcher for 3 years, and I think when he deep dove into it, he didn't think it seemed super realistic. They really would have to believe that Oswald Peraza is their starting everyday shortstop for the next 5 years, and maybe they do, but there would also be a lot of other pieces involved. And then the Yankees signed Stroman, and we think they're done with starting pitching, but
at least pre-deadline, as far as like major starting pitching additions, surprise us.
So I was just gonna read off a really bad one. For the Orioles, everyone wants the chips all in move, and they haven't shown me anything to think that that's coming. Like they haven't done that. They haven't extended anyone even. Like, Rushman, do any of their young players have the team-friendly, you're going to be here for 8 years? I don't think so.
I don't think any of them did.
Their biggest signing has been Craig Kimbrell to come in as a 1-year closer for them. So everyone kind of wants them to push their chips all in. And I just don't see them doing that.
Googled Orioles extension, and it's just Camden Yards.
Huh. See?
So I don't think they've locked anybody up.
So the one I liked, and again, you could dig through a lot of Yankee ones if you want. There's also a couple Mets ones in there. The one that you can plug and play different players because this team has a lot of capital, the Baltimore Orioles. It's basically a package of the next tier of Orioles prospects. Like, you guys already know Adley Rutschman. You know Gunnar Henderson. You probably know Jackson Holliday. Like, those guys aren't moving. They are a part of Baltimore's core. I mean, they're supposed to be some of the best players in baseball for the next 5 years, and the Orioles are going to take advantage of that. They have a second wave of players. Right now, Jordan Westberg, who was a first-round pick and a big prospect for them, he's slated to be their starting second baseman. Heston Kjerstad, he was a top 5 pick a couple years ago. Colton Cowser is like a major league level guy who's like part of their plans, but not, because they've got so many bodies. So for me, this made the most sense because if the Orioles are going to make a move for a guy, like the price for Dylan Cease for 2 years and Luzardo for 3, probably not that far off, right? No? I mean, I guess
Cease
that's
is in theory, Cease, I guess, has proven more, although he, like, statistically last year wasn't great. I think the underlying numbers really liked last year for him, and say the White Sox defense did not help him at all.
I guess, I mean, Luzardo's only had 1 full year. It was last year.
He's had injuries in every year besides last year.
He's still young. But I guess here's the point.
There's only 1 more year.
I think, how about this? I don't know the answer to Cease or Luzardo 2 years, first 3 years. But I would bet the Orioles front office would rather take a chance on 3 years of Jesus Luzardo. I think it's Jesus. I think they'd rather
feels right.
I think they'd rather take a chance on getting 3 good years out of Jesus than trying to go for 2 years of Dylan Cease. I think they're a team that has to think about lengthening their window. And I don't think they're ever going to do the chips all-in move, like the 1 year Shane Bieber. I guess at the deadline if the price was right. But I don't know. Of the Luzardo trades, that's the one that I did the biggest head tilt. The Orioles have MLB ready capital. Marlins need hitting. Orioles need pitching for the next few years. Kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah. Confirmed Jesus.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I think most of the time people are.
I just, you don't want to offend someone, but everyone knows what we're talking about. All right, let's get juicy. Because there was a trade that I did think was interesting, and I guess this team still stands out, because this team stood out trade-wise for like 3 years now. The St. Louis Cardinals. We've talked about their excess of outfielders, the trade that made me laugh, and I told you about the tweet about tell me your trade for your team. Someone tweeted at me and they said, Dylan Carlson for Enyel De Los Santos, and he said, but it's not my team. Man, you are hungry for baseball, friend, and so am I. So someone essentially threw out a Brendan Donovan for Luzardo trade. There were some other prospects on St. Louis sides, which I'd have to check the years, because Donovan's got to be, like 4 or 3,
he has
right?
He has a lot of value.
He plays a lot of positions, which we kind of talked about with the other guys. I think there's a reason for that in a good and bad way. He can play the positions, but he's also a lot of teams are ready to pencil him every day, third base, here you go, left field, whatever it is. So that one turned my head a little bit because, again, the Marlins kind of constantly looking for pitching. Brendan Donovan and Arraez in the same 4 years. Brendan Donovan and Arraez in the same lineup just feels kind of funny. It's like they're bringing similar energies. Donovan with a little more pop. So I was like, okay, like if Cardinals, I don't know if you got to finagle that with more prospects or something on the Cardinals side. I think I think Luzardo's a little higher valued with how high paid pitching is going for.
A high ceiling starting pitcher.
You know, Luzardo could be a playoff starter. Brendan Donovan could be a nice bat in your lineup. I mean, we dreamed him Yankees leadoff guy for a little bit. So I don't want to be fully shots fired. I think Luzardo has the edge.
It would probably be Cardinals have to toss in one more piece.
Yeah, but that made me turn my head.
The guts of a trade feels there.
I was like, yeah, that. Ooh. I was interested in that. And then the other Cardinals trade. So we had Cardinals fans dreaming up of another starting pitcher. That reminds me of my beautiful Yankee fans right now. Yes, we have MLB 5 starting pitchers, but we would love more. And man, this guy feels like a St. Louis Cardinal. The trade presented was Shane Bieber going over to the St. Louis Cardinals. Some of the pieces in there, Matt Liberatore. So they put in Tommy Edman, which I didn't know that was like a St. Louis trade piece, kind of.
Yeah, on the table.
Like I guess within those pieces, Tommy Edman could be available. Tommy Edman kind of feels like a guardian. So that's where I initially got hooked. They said Tommy Edman, Matthew Liberatore, probably just Liberator. I don't know. And then 2 prospects from the Cardinals organization for Shane Bieber. For me, I was impressed because this was a Cardinals fan that put a price tag that might be too high. Normally you're scraping through prospects and you're like, hey, man, if you actually want player X, the other team probably doesn't want the prospects you don't want. That's usually not how it works. The Guardians have been unique in previous years. They'll take a hodgepodge of players, going back to, I think, the Joe Musgrove deal, a couple others, maybe Clev. I think if the Cardinals were willing to put something like this on the table with Liberator, who could be an MLB pitcher, Tommy Edman, you're going to get contribution on the field from him. For 1 year of Shane Bieber, I think the Guardians would jump at this. And maybe I'm off. Guards let me know. Cards let me know. Are you guys friends? How close are your cities? I think Cleveland would jump at this. And I don't know. Again, the idea of St. Louis doing another trade, I like it. I would like it if I wanted real Cardinal belief next year. Nobody has actual Cardinal belief right now. If they traded for a Shane Bieber or if they traded for Luzardo, I think that would change our whole TPP on them. I think it would change the whole thing. Because right now it would be like, man, they were just so bad last year. I know they added this. How good does that actually make them? Maybe you believe in the Cardinals, but I don't know. They need to do one more move. I like that their fans are dreaming, kind of the same as Yankee fans. Very similar pitching arguments. They're okay with their pitching. They really love another guy. Really love another guy. And I think the final trade I want to talk about.
Busch Stadium to Progressive Field, just under 8-hour drive.
Okay, so you could do it.
I mean, that's Midwest time, too. That's nothing.
It's one stop. 4 hours in, we're peeing, we're snacking. We're going the rest of the way. I lied about one trade. There's 2 things I want to talk about. A lot of Houston fans chiming in. Good to see you guys. We're cool.
Welcome.
We all like ball.
We like baseball.
Like, we're cool, man. I mean, John Boy, what's that guy's deal?
You're safe here.
So I've seen this for a little while now that Houston fans want to pillage the White Sox. They want Cease and Robert. And I remember there was Robert trade rumors last year, which I don't know, man. Like, was
that just us dreamboarding?
I don't know. I think there was smoke, but maybe it was just because the White Sox were such a disaster.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what that was.
There's a lot of chat about, like, they can't beat completely closed off to it. And these two teams have linked up for some trades in the past.
Right. And that's why someone who actually had an error in their tweet hooked me, because there was a lot of and this was what was fun for the exercise for me. You could tell what each fan base's Twitter has been talking about. Like Yankee fans, they've been talking about Luzardo and Clase. Astro fans very clearly have been talking Cease and Eloy. One had Framber, Jake Myers, and a ton of prospects going back. I don't know. I just doesn't feel right to me.
There's been,
there has been Framber rumors. I know.
Framber, not untouchable.
I had a good joke at one point. Luis Robert and Dylan Cease for Chas McCormick or Keedy and 3 prospects I never heard of. I said, okay, and who would the White Sox get? Again, we're trying to come together for a trade here. Something I remember talking about on Talking Baseball one day that I still believe in. My guy Eloy. I love Eloy. When he is right at the plate, he's a walking 40 home runs. The problem is he's gotten banged up a decent amount. He's played over 100 games twice in his now 5 years. Career 811 OPS. Last year he was a little below that. Played 120 games. Mostly DH'd. 105 games at DH. Part of the reason I like Eloy is I think he can be a really good DH. Like we've talked about this on Talking Yanks. Like DHing's kind of a skill. A lot of players, you see their numbers go down when they DH because it's hard. All you get is 4 at bats.
It's different.
Like sneaky stinks. Like I think Big Poppy's like such a chiller that is part of the reason it kind of worked for him. Go in the clubhouse and chill out for an hour between at bats. Like not a lot of players can do that. Anyways, they signed Eloy to one of those team-friendly contract extensions. But if he's just a DH, an injury-prone DH, that becomes tricky. He's on the book for $14 million this year. He has a team option for $16.5 next year. He has a team option for $18.5 the year after that. Not a lot of DHs get paid that amount of money. I mean, right now, Shohei gets paid that? Unique situation.
After this year, he ain't a DH.
Stanton gets paid that, and it's looking like a bad contract.
Well, wasn't supposed to be a DH.
And like JD Martinez will probably get, he'll get decent money.
Yeah, but on a 1-year commitment.
On a 1 year, he's an older player. It's not really apples and oranges. An injury-prone DH, it's hard to pay that player on your team. So the price for Eloy Jimenez right now, I think is cheap because, A, it could just be 1 year. If he gets hurt again, or if he's bad, I don't think you pick up the 16-5 team option. And wouldn't that feel Astros-y? Because if they get this guy and he's healthy for 130 games, I think he might hit you 35 homers. So someone, and they said it was a typo because they wanted Luis Robert, which got me pretty good because that's the trade I want to talk about. Let's see. That Yordan trade is not happening. Scrolling. The Orioles, Colton Cowser, Joey Ortiz for Cease. No, you're out.
And if you don't want Eloy to be just a DH, Minute Maid left field is one he can run around at.
Right. I mean,
you've got that.
Get him and Yordan.
Brantley's out.
Him and Yordan off their feet for every other day. Like there's
options.
There's something to that. It was Eloy and Cease. And it was really just a prospect package. Which, again, I think for the White Sox is a different story than a lot of the teams I'm talking about. The White Sox are in a full-blown rebuild. So you could trade them actual prospects. Although the Houston, it's not what you'd expect. I guess maybe a Hunter Brown or something like that. One of their 2 outfielders, a Jake Myers. I'm sure there's some prospects that the White Sox would like. The reason I want to talk about that, it was a reminder of the Eloy conversation that I've had with myself, that let's say Houston sent chips for Dylan Cease, which doesn't Dylan Cease feel like a guy Houston would trade for? Strikeout guy that they could tap into just a little more. Right now, their rotation, Verlander, Framber, Javier, Brown, or Keedy, doesn't fully feel Houston-y. If Dylan Cease was at that 2 or that 3 spot with Framber and JV, then it would. They're expected to get McCullers back this year, I think later in the year. That one turned my head because, A, I can picture Dylan Cease in Houston. He seems like the player they'd like. And I think you could get Eloy for cheap than probably what you'd think. So the Houston Astros in one sweep, who they always have a quiet offseason until they don't, getting someone like Cease and my thick king Eloy, that resonated with me. That would be a trade that would happen and we would groan. Good to see.
I hate to pile on the White Sox in a tough time, but the way it feels like the way they tend to do business is they may view Eloy as like a negative asset and getting off his money, and
it's very close to neutral, Eloy's value right now.
Especially just the way the White Sox operate.
If you were Houston and you're trading for Dylan Cease, if there's 1 or 2 prospects that just need to be upgraded and you can get Eloy, / for them, move on from Eloy, I think that's how something gets done. Or at least it does in my fantasy leagues. Last one. Won't even go through it because we'll get to some Justin Penik in football. Luis Arraez. There's been a ton of trade rumors. The one team that popped up that I said, oh shit, Toronto Blue Jays. They've needed a true lefty in the top of that lineup. How gnarly would it be to see Arraez? Within Springer, within Guerrero. And I think the trade offer that someone threw out was Tiedemann, who's a big-time pitching prospect, and they threw in Davis Schneider, who was the upstart second baseman. And I was like, yeah, I could, if Miami thinks they need to move on to get a true prospect and a potential replacement for Arraez. And God, Toronto, like sometimes I do think our Yankee fan kicks in when we talk about Toronto, although they haven't really won a playoff anything. If the Blue Jays traded for Luis Arraez, I think we'd let out like a big fuck.
At minimum, just having to play against him a lot isn't fun.
Springer, Arraez, Bichette, Guerrero.
However exactly you want to sequence that is going to be unpleasant.
That's like the lefty. That's the lefty bat that I think would really change things for them. So, hey, let me know if you thought I was really on or really off with the trade, or if you got something up your sleeve, or not your team. If you have a Dylan Carlson and Yellow Santos thing that you just see that nobody else sees, let us know. For now, why don't you guys come to the Talkin' Yanks live event with Aaron Boone? We're almost sold out. January 29th, Monday, Downtown Social. I'll be there. Beebs will be there. John Boy will be there. Aaron Boone will be there. Maybe Penik. I don't know. He's kind of a Yankees fan.
I think he mentioned planning to come.
Joe's, Canobio. It's going to be a blast. We're almost sold out. Click the link in the description. There's different levels of VIP tickets that get you different stuff and stuff. We sold out, I think, at the more expensive one. So sorry if you're a money bags out there. But the other stuff is great, too. Downtown Social, January 29th. Come see us do Talking Yanks Live with Booney. It'll be fun. We are joined by Justin Penik, recurring guest of the program, football guy, football streamer.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see us this weekend, and hopefully you saw us last weekend. How you doing, JP?
Doing well. Doing good. BBD, Jake. Love talking football. It's been a while since we've done it. Thinking about that.
The people will be happy because I've fake teased you probably the last 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And it's fully my fault. I mean, the holidays are brutal, and then playoffs, and Marcus Stroman. What do you want the Yankees to do? Go.
win a lot of baseball games.
All right, back to the football with Justin Penik. We're down to 8 teams.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah.
It happens quick.
Mm-hmm.
After that super wild card weekend. Started slow, landed in an okay place.
Mm-hmm.
Are you hurt about anything? I know you were kind of getting on the Rams brigade. Like, do you feel any remorse for that, or are you in a good place?
Well, you know what? I kind of got behind, like, Matt Stafford is just playing, like, really good football.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the Lions are just way more talented, and they finally got their defense to a spot, unlike 2022. They got their defense to a spot where, hey, we can compete, we can get after the quarterback. We know how important that is in the postseason. So there was a little regret there, just not looking at the Rams roster being like the Lions roster is a lot stronger than the Rams roster. But Matt Stafford played like an incredible game. Like, he played a much better quarterback game.
And they're a PI away from that. Yeah, probably being their game.
Yeah, and it's also like opening drive, man. And this is why field goals versus touchdowns. When you have the whole take the points versus go for it, be aggressive. What do the Rams do? Their first drive, they kick a field goal, and then the Lions, they come out, they score a touchdown. Obviously, it's a 4-quarter game, 60-minute game, but in that game, there's a lot of differences. But I think that's one of the main differences of what the Rams can control. But yeah, a little bit of an underwhelming weekend. I thought the first half of the Texans-Browns game was fun, but then that game kind of took off. But really, the only good game from start to finish was those Rams on Lions.
I want to talk some Texans.
Please.
Because they're playing the Ravens. Like you said, we'll be streaming this game together.
Yep.
You, me, Zoe.
Saturday.
Wow. Football guys.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens have a chance if they come out with a first quarter or a first half. I think everyone's going to look around and be like, oh, the Ravens are going to be there. They've been dominant. I know before this, you were spitting some facts about how good they are against good teams.
Mm-hmm.
I joked anti-Dolphins. Justin giggled. Might have been a sympathy giggle. For me, Houston, not to go full Dangerfield, but there's no respect. CJ Stroud, I think, has had the best rookie QB season ever.
Yes.
People compare it to Luck. I heard my guy Rosillo went back and forth on some of those stats. I think it's Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's tough to revisit what teams were expected to do that year. Colts didn't have high expectations. T.Y. was coming on the scene, and I think they had a young Marvin, or they had someone else who was really good.
Maybe a Reggie Wayne that's still lasting.
I think so.
Maybe.
Either way, Stroud's been awesome.
Yeah.
And they're heading to Baltimore, though, who they've killed everyone.
Yeah.
And
everyone.
I know it's not the best analysis, but it's like, this is a cross your fingers and hope for a good game. Because there's a chance, right? Stroud can fully be on the scene, and it can fully make sense. He's been that good, and he just did it in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's how good is Baltimore?
Right. And the Ravens this year, I believe they have 8 wins. Opta Stats put this out at the time of December 26, 2023. I think it wound up being 8 wins by 14-plus points this past season. All of those opponents having an above 500 record, including they had a win against those Houston Texans by 14-plus points in the regular season. No team in NFL history has had more than 5 regular season wins by 14-plus points against teams that finished that season with the winning record. So the Ravens are not only winning, but they're kicking the crap out of teams. And that's been probably the most impressive part of their season is just offense, defense. Hey, we'll throw special teams in there. They're dominating teams all over the field. But with the Texans, you bring up Andrew Luck and you compare it. It's not even a numbers thing. But I think if you just watch how the quarterbacks are playing and how they play quarterback, right? How you're able to throw the football, manipulate the pocket, extend plays, which extending plays and manipulating the pocket, ironically enough, that was C.J. Stroud's big bugaboo at Ohio State. Oh, he can't extend plays, he can't move, and he's doing that, man. And that's like his biggest strength when it was his fatal flaw, supposedly on the scouting reports at Ohio State. It's him and Andrew Luck probably all time that have like these, look at how they just do quarterback. Look at how they are performing at quarterback. Ignore the stats, ignore this, ignore that. Just look at how they're performing at quarterback, and it is really, really impressive. Big plays while limiting turnovers and limiting sacks. Because that's what, usually you'll have a lot of rookies with some big plays, but they'll take sacks and they'll turn over the ball. And Stroud is just not doing that. And you mentioned Ravens getting off to a fast start. They're known for that for years, where it's like, hey, Lamar will push the ball downfield, we'll throw the ball, and then, hey, we'll just run it down your throats in the second half, and we'll end up with a lot of rushing attempts. And it's like we just control a game. But the Texans are also known for those fast starts too. What have they done their last 2 games? Against the Colts. Play action, first play of the game. First offensive play of the game. Play action touchdown, Nico Collins. They're not expecting this, right? No way they're going to throw a 70-yard bomb down the field. Well, guess what they do? And they had a good opening script against the Browns, too, that entire first quarter. So this could be a game where it's a stinker and it's, hey, a rookie and young roster, young coach shows up in a big moment, divisional round on the road. Or it could be C.J. Stroud continues to have, those nerves of steel and continues it through, and we have a good game at Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if there's a punch in the mouth, because you saw with the Dallas Cowboys, like they got punched in the mouth, and it just changes the whole feel to a game.
100%.
That's for me with Baltimore and the season they've had. I don't hold Lamar's playoff history against him too much. He's 1-3, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Obviously there's some good rushing stats in there too. The Ravens are nasty.
Yeah.
For me, the only way this doesn't go Ravens is if they get punched in the mouth. And Texans score on the opening drive, or Lamar throws a pick opening drive. And then the questions about Lamar, everyone's human. That's why this stuff happens. If that stuff starts to wander in, I think that's how you get a game. And I don't know if they're going to. It's tough.
I'm excited, though. Really excited.
I'm excited. We'll be watching it. Jam Football. Come tune in with us. The other game on that day, Green Bay, San Francisco. This game happens every year. After the Green Bay Cowboys game, this is usually the next game. The Niners on the other side, I think they were originally respected more than Baltimore. I still think they are talent-wise,
right.
pure
But Baltimore
talent.
Just kicked the crap out of them a couple weeks ago.
But they kicked the crap out of them.
And that's what Baltimore does.
And people will just question Brock Purdy until he's holding the Super Bowl trophy because there's so much talent around him. That's almost the flaw. And I think the other thing is that the AFC is just a little more open.
Right.
Or was a little more open. Teaser. San Francisco hosts Green Bay. Jordan Love is playing a crazy brand of football right now. All the stats from the second half of the season. They just won against them boys. I was laughing earlier this week when I talked about it. When you don't have a star wide receiver and your offense is bad, it's where's our wide receivers.
Yeah.
If you don't have a star wide receiver and your offense is good, it's like, man, these guys are interchangeable. Is it going to be Wicks on one play? Is it going to be Dobbs on the other
Watson,
play?
yeah.
Right. So right now,
right
now Green Bay's in the sweet spot because they think
Jake.
they're clicking and they can throw it to any guy at any time. So is there anything, what would get the Green Bay hype train going?
Well, again, I hate to keep harping on the same point, but a fast start. And Matt LaFleur, one of the best coaches in the National Football League with opening scripts and the way, like his own ability to start fast for years. Rodgers did it. Love has done it too. So that's where they can catch that crowd sleeping. Get the crowd quieted down. Get the momentum headed in one way. If they can get that fast start as well, and it gives the young quarterback a little confidence. And Jordan Love wasn't just check down Charlie and yards after the catch, scheming that. It was
impressive.
Hang in the pocket, like different arm slots, arm angles, and it's the stuff that you go, wow, wow, wow. When Jackson, Mahomes, and Stafford, when they do that stuff, Jordan Love was doing that too. And like you mentioned, they don't really have like a household name that he's throwing the ball to. So really impressive effort by LaFleur. It's a shame that if Kevin Stefanski didn't have the regular season that he did, or if this Jordan Love hype didn't fully start in the playoffs, then I think he should get some love for Coach of the Year for what he's done with that roster. That's the youngest team in the NFL. The Green Bay Packers, number 1, and our New York Giants, number 2. The two youngest teams in the NFL right now, but obviously the Packers are playing this Sunday, and there's another team that's home.
We don't know if they're home. How about this? Who do you feel more confident in, Baltimore or San Francisco?
San Fran, 100%.
I'm with you, which kind of is bizarre because I think Green Bay versus Houston, I would take Green Bay on a neutral site.
Yeah.
But I think that goes back to believing in San Francisco. And, man, there's so much talent.
All pros at every level. Can I tell you the most important player on the field for the San Francisco? I think the most important player in these playoffs, non-quarterback.
Trent Williams.
Yes. The health of Trent Williams when he's off the field think of early in the year. Remember when Brock Purdy had like a bad couple weeks? Debo was off the field, but Trent Williams was off the field too. And then later in the year, Trent Williams goes down again, like mid-game. They're playing Baltimore. Get the crap kicked out of him. And there's a reason why. Like, I think left tackle is the second most important position in the game of football. And that's why. I mean, you see these teams that their left tackles go down, and some of them just can't fully bounce back.
Would you say right tackle if it was a lefty quarterback?
Yeah,
it's a fun game, right?
Why not?
Your blindside tackle?
Yeah, why not? So Trent Williams, very, very important player. And if I've been checking him at 49ers fans as we've been streaming on JM Football. Is he okay? Is he okay? Right. Seems like he's going to play, but you never know. Something mid-game could come up, and then that 49er offense changes completely.
Trent Williams is out in the first quarter, and Jordan Love makes a nice pass.
Mm-hmm.
That'll do it.
Yep.
Okay. Sunday games. You've been marching the table for years, saying Goff or Baker are going to come back.
Yeah.
Here they are. The Lions, man, like you said, sure they have talent. Dude, there's something about cohesion and team building. Like, doesn't it feel like Dan Campbell, Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, their GM who was screaming in the elevator, Aaron Glenn, like Jack Campbell, the line, like it seems like they're Laporta. It seems like they're all same. Like Laporta's post game was very different than Dan Campbell's, but it was still the same. He was like, yeah, you know, they were talking about his injury, and he's just like, I hope I contributed enough today. He's like, you scored a touchdown, Pop. Like you're the guy.
And don't you like how they didn't shy away from the whole Goff thing?
Yeah,
like they embraced it. All of them did. They didn't like, business as usual. It's
and
just
credit to Goff as well.
Yes.
Credit to Goff as well. Because if that blows up on them, all of us are doing sheesh. Tampa Bay wins with big plays because Detroit's secondary has a couple laughable moments a game.
Yes, I mean, Tampa Bay's secondary has a couple of them, too. I think Tampa Bay is up there in like third or fourth most big plays allowed, big pass plays allowed. Here's where I think the Lions are going to get them. And, if you watch that Monday night game, I think this is more of a reflection on the Eagles than anything. But, Todd Bowles loves the blitz. Top 5 blitz rate in the NFL. Then they got after Hurts, and Hurts has not been good under pressure. So what you see in the back end is you see man coverage, guys 1v1, and you got to win. You got to win on the back end, and you got to find a way to get the ball out of your hands quick. If that's the same game plan, if Tampa Bay copies and pastes that same game plan against the Detroit Lions, I think the Lions are going to carve them up because you're going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're going to have Laporta. I even like some of their other receivers too. Reynolds, there's another guy. Amon-Ra is going to carve them up in the slot. And Jared Goff does a nice job of not taking a lot of sacks, getting rid of the ball quickly while also producing big plays. So the Bucs, I don't know if their game plan should be cover zero looks and bring everybody, and we're going to get in Goff's face, and we're going to do it like we did with Hurts, because I think the way that the Lions offense operates is very different. So I'm confident that the Lions are going to take care of business on Sunday.
Couple fun little Jakey questions. Which coaching staff do you like more, Campbell or Bowles? Bowles is a sneaky, beloved guy in NFL circles.
Right. And they have a good offensive play caller right now who's getting some love for possible coaching candidacies. I mean, you got to love Detroit, right? I mean, they had the Hard Knocks last year.
Campbell's just tough to beat.
They're all former players.
Right.
So they all love each other. They legitimately, that is the main thing you get away from the Hard Knocks when they did it maybe last year or 2 years ago. They love each other.
Every time they show Aaron Glenn, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Why is that?
And he was on the hot seat too. Bobby I don't know if Bobby Johnson's a former player. That's the only one. The OC that will be a head coach. Bobby Johnson's the O-line coach for the Giants.
Bobby's the guy you work with.
Yeah, Bobby's the guy that I work with. Ben Johnson, who undoubtedly I think will be a head coach next year, based off what he's done this year. So I don't know if he's a former player, but even his rise was interesting because he had Dan Campbell after his first year. They fire their offensive coordinator, then he takes over offensive play calling, which a lot of people forget that. And then they hire Ben Johnson. So they all love each other, man, and they're all very cohesive. They have obviously a great communication with the front office about the type of players that they're looking for. Dan Campbell even talked about that. If you saw that post-game speech, we have great communication of the type of people that we want to bring in here, and that stuff matters. So I would say as a staff, I like them more.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Is there any Goff versus Baker conversations that are fun? Goff had a huge year. So
did Baker for the expectations, right? Baker was an LA Ram last year.
Yeah, remember that? He got off the plane and was their starting quarterback on Thursday Night Football, I think.
And now
got there on Tuesday night, I think.
Possibly
won the game.
Possibly looking at this offseason, like what contract is Baker Mayfield going to get next year?
Might be a Baker guy. I love both these guys.
Yeah.
I love their stories. If Baker somehow ends up in the NFC Championship game, I'll love however he gets there. I don't know. I think what Detroit has going right now is just powerful.
Yeah, you mentioned continuity through a couple years too. I think that's the main difference here. Even though Tampa's roster, a lot of it is still similar to when they won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. So it's not like that roster's bad.
Dude, I was about to lock in a Detroit bet, and then I remember what their secondary was doing, and every time they needed a stop, I know you're giving Stafford credit, but also guys were open, that Mike Evans and Godwin.
Yep.
Cade Otton.
Yeah, they have Trey Palmer too. They have that Tampa Bay offense has been good.
The tickets Baltimore, tickets as low as $100 to get in the stadium.
Really?
San Francisco, tickets as low as $188.
No way.
Our final game, Buffalo, tickets as low as $148. These are just like what's popping up on ESPN.
Trying to go to a Knicks game and I legitimately cannot.
Don't get started.
Regular season Knicks game.
It's insane. It's crazy. Tickets as low as $485 in the Motor City. The place is going to be a nut bin.
Yeah, a nut bin. Bin of nuts.
So as much as I see Detroit giving up big plays and Baker stories is fun, it's tough to go against Detroit, man. They've got the sauce.
Yeah.
And they're good.
Yeah.
Like they have more talent than Tampa. Gibbs, Montgomery.
Don't you love how they literally said we wanted to play Dallas again. They literally said we wanted to play Dallas again, but we'll take another home playoff game.
How about that?
That's a team.
They're sickos.
Moxie.
They're sickos. The final game, a game we've seen, Justin Penik. And both teams kind of took the long road, huh? The Kansas City Chiefs, led by Chris Rose's D, and the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo.
It was a moment.
The Chris Rose ride the D.
That was a moment.
That was awesome. There was so many accounts that got big views on that. That's how people currently see Chris Rose. The Buffalo Bills, who took the long route to the 2 seed and have some of the lowest moments it feels like a team can have on the field. Somehow, they're positioned great.
Yeah.
Because they've got Kansas City at home this time in Buffalo, survived the snowstorm. Kansas City's offense has been in a tough spot for a little while. The other reminder is that the home seed would be flipped here via the Kadarius Toney offside play. Yeah. That's a fun one.
Thank you.
Is there anything, what's different from past years? Obviously, Kansas City's offense has been talked a lot this year. Is Buffalo that different?
No, but they're hot. And I believe in that.
They're winning a lot of games.
I believe in that. I really do. That could be, hey, if you want to call that bad sports analysis. I mean, this has been a debate that you and Jim have had for years.
Sure.
Momentum, and is that a thing? Is it being high? I think it is. And I'm a stats guy. I'm a stats guy. Wake and Jake, you heard me listen to it before. Yeah. The thing that's different, too, could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time that Mahomes is playing in Buffalo.
First ever regular playoff game.
Regular season or postseason.
Yeah.
That he's playing in Buffalo. Every Chiefs-Bills matchup has been in Kansas City from what I believe. Like, think of it on the top of your head. I can't think of Pat Mahomes wearing white in New York.
I know this is his first road playoff game, but I could see that being true as well. Huh.
So that's very different.
Bills are winners of 6 in a row?
Yeah. Since McDermott got in hot water, and then they rallied around him, which is crazy. That story is crazy. We won't talk about it, but if you know the story I'm talking about.
I guess what just jumped in my head is if there's blood in the water, which this Kansas City team puts a lot of blood in the water. If you're the city of Buffalo and you've been waiting for this game ever since the OT, and just Josh Allen, Mahomes, these two teams have been great. It's in Buffalo. If The Chiefs leave blood in the water, which I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a third down and a wide receiver runs the wrong route, which like happens with this Chiefs offense.
A drop. They lead the league in drops.
It feels like the whole team has to be like, hey, this might be your best chance to ever take down Patty.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, because
they're not going to run back an offense like this again.
Priority
with
number one is get Mahomes a wide receiver, whether that's via trade or via draft, and they probably won't even need to move up in the draft to get a really good wide receiver.
Come home, the enemy.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
maybe. You never know. Yeah, but
what else is there, Penik?
What else is there?
Life?
You have Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and then Josh Allen, who, even though Joe Brady has really reeled them in and they've started to run the ball well, there's still some Josh Allen, like, what are we doing plays? And that could, change the tides of a close game. And that's the only thing I'm looking out for. Steve Spags was doing some awesome, fun things against Tua and getting Tua confused, pre-snap to post-snap. And that offense, that Miami offense, it's all about Tua getting rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less. So what Spags was doing, defense coordinator for the Chiefs, I think 3-time Super Bowl champion now.
Yeah.
Which, hey, that matters in the postseason. Having a postseason game plan and what you do, because everybody's good. It's not like you take advantage of bad quarterback play. So what they were doing last week of rotating stuff pre and post snap, I think you're going to have to do some similar stuff against Josh Allen. Prevent those big plays, make him stay patient, make Josh Allen, force him to check down the ball and keep it short. Does he have the discipline to do that? Some weeks yes, and some weeks no. Challenge him regardless, because you're not going to totally slow him down. You're not going to stop him, but at least make him run a lot of plays, and maybe he'll make a mistake.
I used the blood in the water analysis for the Bills. If they see the Chiefs being leaky, drop, fumble, whatever it is. Man, the last game of the day, you don't want to go Collinsworth, but how did the Chiefs play like this and somehow Patrick Mahomes has the ball down 6 with 1:35 left on the clock? I'm not betting against the Chiefs.
No. I was a stupid idiot, and I did it against Miami just because they could run the ball well. I was like, they don't need to throw. Miami could just run the ball well. Well, Pacheco
did you go
did
Sterling
that much easier.
for a second there?
No, not intentionally. If I sounded
in the middle, there's a little. I gotta run the ball.
If I sounded like him, then Susan, I'll take it. No, so excited, man. Hopefully this weekend delivers some start to finish games that are much better than last week. Hey, I know our MLB play. I was thinking of the MLB playoffs, thinking like, football's never going to do that, and then lo and behold, we had a weekend of it. So hopefully we had some good games start to finish, and I'm excited to watch all of them.
We will see you there, JM Football.
Mm-hmm.
We're streaming a lot. You're coming out with a ton of content. Bragged in my face. You beat me on the content chart today.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy the football this weekend. Hopefully we get some big baseball news. Justin Penik, BBD in a hat.